The international airport buzzed with activity, a continuous symphony of rolling luggage, faint conversations, and the hum of automated announcements echoing through the expansive terminal. Captain Rafael Rafi del Rosario moved effortlessly through the crowd, his casual outfit of jeans and a polo shirt allowing him to blend in seamlessly with a sea of travelers. His unremarkable appearance masked decades of expertise as a Filipino-American pilot. Known for his groundbreaking contributions to aviation safety, Rafi was en route to an aviation summit, where he was slated to present on the cutting-edge safety protocols he'd helped develop. Yet for Rafi, it was just another routine day. The weight of his accomplishments didn't burden him, it rested lightly on his shoulders. As Rafi approached a restricted section leading to the private lounge for airline crew, he was intercepted by Officer Liam Carter, an airport security officer stationed by the access point. Carter, a broad-shouldered man with a steely gaze, had built a reputation among the airport staff for profiling travelers who didn't fit his narrow perception of who belonged in certain spaces. Upon spotting Rafi, Carter's attention immediately sharpened, suspicion clouding his judgment. "Excuse me, sir," Carter said, stepping directly in front of Rafi. "This is a restricted area. Passengers aren't allowed beyond this point." Rafi, maintaining his calm composure, offered a polite smile and reached for his ID. "I'm a pilot, officer. I'm heading to the crew lounge before my flight." Carter scoffed, his eyes scanning Rafi from head to toe. "A pilot? Sure you are. Let me see that ID." Rafi handed over his identification, keeping his demeanor steady despite the growing tension. Carter glanced at the badge for a moment, then shook his head. "This doesn't look real. Where'd you get this, some website?" A small crowd began to form, drawn by the rising tension between the two. Rafi took a deep breath, the discipline of his years in aviation kicking in. "Officer, I assure you, my ID is valid. I've been flying for decades. If you need confirmation, you can contact airport administration." Carter sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Flying for decades, huh? Maybe. Paper airplanes." Carter scoffed. "You don't look like any pilot I've ever seen." The crowd murmured, some individuals pulling out their phones to capture the escalating interaction. Among the onlookers was Laura Stevens, a renowned aviation journalist who had just stepped off a flight. As soon as she saw Rafi, her eyes locked on him. His face and name had graced the covers of multiple industry publications. A furrow appeared on her brow as she made her way toward the scene, her journalist instincts kicking in. "What's going on here?" Laura's voice sliced through the tension in the air. Carter turned toward her, his irritation now clear. "Just handling a security situation, ma'am. This man claims to be a pilot, but his story doesn't add up." Laura's eyes widened as she glanced from Rafi to Carter. "Claims," she said, her voice rising. "Do you have any idea who this is?" Carter raised an eyebrow, clearly unmoved by Laura's question. "Should I?" "This is Captain Rafael del Rosario," Laura replied, her tone cutting through the tension. "He's one of the most respected figures in aviation, someone who's revolutionized safety protocols and received countless awards for his contributions to the industry. If anyone belongs here, it's him." A gasp rippled through the crowd as Laura's words spread like wildfire. Whispers grew louder, and Carter's confidence began to falter, his defensiveness slipping. "That's not what his ID looked like to me," he muttered, though his words were less certain now. Laura crossed her arms, her gaze unwavering. "Maybe that's because you didn't bother to check properly. Or maybe you assumed he couldn't possibly be who he says he is because of how he looks. Either way, you owe him an apology." Before Carter could respond, Airport Director Martin Hayes arrived, having been alerted to the commotion. Upon spotting Rafi, his face immediately lit up with recognition. "Captain Del Rosario," Hayes said, his voice warm. "My apologies for the delay. Is everything all right?" Rafi nodded, though frustration was evident on his face. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding, Director. Officer Carter, here, didn't think I looked the part of a pilot." Hayes' expression darkened, his voice firm. "Officer, Captain Del Rosario is a guest of honor at today's aviation summit. He's not just a pilot, but a pioneer in the field. I expect better judgment from my staff, Carter stammered, his bravado quickly crumbling under Hayes' stern gaze. I didn't know. That's the problem, Laura interjected. You didn't bother to find out before jumping to conclusions. The videos of the encounter, recorded by bystanders, quickly went viral on social media, sparking outrage. Hashtags like #RespectTrafi and #end racial profiling began trending within hours, drawing widespread attention to the incident. News outlets picked up the story, amplifying its reach and igniting a larger conversation about the biases professionals from diverse backgrounds face in the workplace. Though shaken by the experience, Rafi refused to let it overshadow his purpose. Later that day, he stood before a packed audience of aviation industry leaders, his confidence undeterred. He spoke passionately about innovation, safety, and the critical need for inclusivity within the aviation field. Today's skies are shared by people from every corner of the world, Rafi said, his voice steady and clear. If we are to navigate them safely and successfully, we must recognize and value the contributions of all individuals, regardless of their background or appearance. Bias has no place in our industry, or in any industry. The audience erupted into applause, rising to their feet for a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. Among the crowd was Laura, who smiled with pride as she captured the moment for her article. Meanwhile, Officer Carter watched the event unfold on a breakroom television, his face a mixture of shame and self-reflection. The airport administration had suspended him and required him to attend cultural sensitivity and professional conduct training. The footage of his encounter with Rafi replayed in his mind, each frame forcing him to confront the biases that had clouded his judgment. As the summit drew to a close, Rafi was surrounded by passengers and colleagues alike, all eager to express their admiration and support. Though his day had begun with an unjust confrontation, it ended with a reaffirmation of his mission to break barriers and inspire change, both in the cockpit and beyond. His story became a powerful symbol of resilience and progress, highlighting the need for systemic change while celebrating the achievements of those who rise above adversity. Rafi's legacy as an aviation pioneer remained untarnished, his story serving as a beacon of hope and possibility for future generations.